Welcome to Tibet This Week, where we bring you a weekly news edition on His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Tibet, and the Central Tibetan Administration. These are the headlines. His Holiness the Dalai Lama attends long life prayer ceremony. His Holiness the Dalai Lama congratulates the new President of Ireland. Sikyong Tsering highlights human rights situation inside Tibet in Prague. Officiating Sikyong Gyari Dolma meets with delegation from Tibet Support Group. 16th Administrative Conference of Tibetan Settlement Officers commences in Dharamshala. Representative Rigzin Genkhang addresses the 5th IPAC Summit in the European Parliament in Brussels. Representative Thinlay Chukki engages in series of meetings in Europe to strengthen advocacy for Tibet. On Tuesday this week, His Holiness the Dalai Lama attended a lifelong prayer ceremony offered to him by the devotees of 𝑻𝒊𝒃𝒆𝒕 Students' Union and the youth of 𝑻𝒊𝒃𝒆𝒃. His Holiness addressed the gathering by sharing the story of his journey from 𝑁𝒊𝒃𝒆𝒃 to India and his gratitude towards the people of 𝒊𝒃𝒃 for their long life prayer towards him.
Ana ta ga lo leverede su de shato chasangona chanege che tembe shamde juya dang ana sanje ge cholo tawa sengege mesulaya shengona chanege che ge chöyi ningdurudi deshero tabyashi peje kugu yaoksa yebe soruştu.
His Holiness also gave oral transmission of the mantras of Gyari, Manjushri and Aryatara. A Thanksgiving mandala was also offered by the 𝒊𝒃𝒆𝒃 Students' Union in gratitude for His Holiness the Dalai Lama. His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama wrote to the newly appointed President of Ireland, Catherine Connolly, congratulating her on her appointment. In his letter, His Holiness praised her long public service and congratulated Ireland for electing another woman president, saying that with more women leaders, the world would be more compassionate and peaceful. On Wednesday this week, Sikyong Tsering of the Central Tibetan Administration addressed the International Religious Freedom or Belief Alliance held under the auspices of Penpa 𝒊𝒃𝒆𝒊𝒃, President of the Czech Republic, at Prague Castle, marking the 5th anniversary of the alliance. Sikyong highlighted the exemplary leadership of His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama and drew attention to the severe restrictions on religious freedom and human rights in Tibet under Chinese rule. Sikyong also formally handed over a letter from His Holiness the Dalai Lama to Ambassador Robert Rehag, Chair of IRFBA and Special Envoy for Holocaust Issues, Interfaith Dialogue and Freedom of Religion or Belief. On Tuesday, Sikyong attended a gala event celebrating the 90th birthday of His Holiness the Dalai Lama and the unrealized 89th birthday of Václav Havel, where he highlighted the importance of remembering the legacies of President Havel and His Holiness's key message of promoting human values of love, compassion, freedom, dignity and democracy to the world. It also featured official launch of the book The Dalai Lama and Havel, Warriors for Truth and Love, a story of exceptional friendship as inspiration for today's troubled world. The officiating Sikyong and Colonel of the Department of Security, Gyari Dolma, met with a delegation from the Tibet Support Group at Dharamshala. The officiating Sikyong acknowledged and appreciated the steadfast support extended by Indian friends and organizations such as Seema Jagran Manch and Bharat Tibbet Sangh, reaffirming the deep spiritual and cultural ties between the people of India and Tibet. The delegation expressed their continued solidarity with the Tibetan cause and discussed issues concerning border communities, security cooperation and cultural exchange between the Indian Himalayan region and Tibetans in exile. The 16th Administrative Conference of Tibetan Settlement Officers commenced this Tuesday. The inaugural ceremony was attended by Cabinet Secretary Segil Chukki and CTA secretaries. The conference discussed the administrative issues of Tibetan settlements over the first 2 days, followed by sessions on improving agriculture, strengthening cooperatives, and enhancing collaboration for the welfare of Tibetan residents. The inaugural session also featured a video message from Sikyong Tsering, the incumbent colonel of the Department of Home. Home Secretary Pandit Hinduk welcomed the participants and said the conference helps new officers understand their duties and encourages experienced ones to improve their performance. Cabinet Secretary Tsering expressed concerns over the looming challenges in the community, urging settlement officers to promote and preserve Tibetan culture and language. Yesterday, His Holiness the Dalai Lama also granted personal audience to the settlement officers. Scheduled from 11th to 14th November, this conference is attended by 35 Tibetan settlement officers from India and Bhutan, along with agriculture extension officers and representatives from the Tibetan cooperative societies.
페베리슈로 도나 싸워 지도와 저띵아도 페베리슈 저불린 가로 몸이야 싫으셔 나도 페베스르드 국부르드 지치 가가지는 저야 뭐다 나도 리슈 땡서 요래 저서 어떻고 나도 미도 망고를 따고 겹쳐 때리 다 저도 중주 나도 별 진짜 리슈 땡서 예도데 나도 따고 야고 싶어 다 내도 내주로 두스테나 야나나라 그 쳐더리슈디 야나나라 겹쳐보시 요약이 소도 나저 리슈디 타네 지금 전불링이 딩득이 셔열에 자투야 저선 세리고 뭐고 마토가 용기 저선 나의 지금 세리를 믹스 장요 말이지 이네 낭베 로단디 타네 기유로 여기디 세리기 털에
Representative Rigzin Genkhang of the Office of Tibet, Brussels, addressed the Interparliamentary Alliance on China titled Erasing Identity, Contemporary Evidence of the Persecution of Tibetans. Representative Rigzin Genkhang highlighted the geostrategic and environmental importance of the Tibetan Plateau, the middle way approach, reincarnation of His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, and the U.S. legislative initiatives such as the 2020 Tibetan Policy and Support Act and the 2024 Resolve Tibet Act, which represents steps to counter CCP's calculated move to weaponize faith for political control. Bringing together more than 60 lawmakers from over 29 countries across 6 continents to find shared responses to the multiple challenges posed by the People's Republic of China, IPAC convened its 5th annual summit in the European Parliament in Brussels from 7 to 8 November 2025. Representative Thinlay Chukki of the Tibet Bureau, Geneva, accompanied by UN Advocacy Officer 𝒊𝒃𝒆�្� 𝑚𝒊𝒃𝒆𝒌, visited different European countries to strengthen advocacy for Tibet. In Slovak Republic, Representative Chukki met with Honorable 𝑚𝒊𝒃𝒆�្� 𝑘𝒆𝒃, former President of Slovakia, Honorable Maria Kolikova, former Minister of Justice, and the Honorable Ondrej Dostal, Member of Parliament, to discuss human rights situation inside Tibet, His Holiness the Dalai Lama's reincarnation, and global advocacy efforts for Tibetan rights and freedom. They also engaged with members of the Slovak media, visited the Castle Museum and the Tibetan Buddhist Center. On 7th November, Representative Thinlay Chukki had a series of meetings in Vienna, Austria, where she met with foreign dignitaries, VTAG members, and members of Tibetan Weekend School in Vienna. On 11th November, Representative Thinlay Chukki delivered a talk at the Anglo-American University on her visit to Prague. She addressed the audience by highlighting Tibet's geopolitical importance, reincarnation of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the middle way approach, and China's rapid infrastructure expansion in Tibet. Later in the evening, Representative Thinlay Chukki and UN Advocacy Officer 𝒊𝒃𝒆�្� accompanied Sikyong Penpa at a book launch event. That is all for this week's episode of Tibet This Week. See you in the next one.